She's terrific. Thanks a lot, Robert. All right, so what were the candidates saying, not with their mouths, but with their bodies, with their hands, with their eyes? Our next guest can see right through them and you and me and Rosanna.
Because she's an expert in body language.
Tonya Reiman, you probably have seen her on the O'Reilly Factor. She's amazing.
She was just on another channel before she got here, by the way.
One more after, too. Sorry.
You're in demand. You're a body language expert. Let's start with your first observation, please.
Ted Cruz?
Ted Cruz.
Yeah. One of the things that we noticed with him last night was his blink rate was high, and that's not typical for him. Well, what that means is that suddenly you feel a little bit more pressure and you blink faster because the brain is working a little bit harder.
So you're looking at his eyes. He's blinking faster than he normally does.
Yes. As a matter of fact, at one point, the calculation was 77 blinks per minute if you averaged it out, which is more than, so in other words, his eyes were closed more than they were open at certain points.
And that means what again?
It typically just shows high levels of anxiety. So you ask me a question that I feel uncomfortable with, I might blink a little bit faster just for that mental arousal.
Okay, interesting. All right. Bush, he did something with his tongue.
Yeah, Bush, as he was answering a question, he did not only a tongue thrust, he stuck his tongue out, which means after he finished answering the question, he wasn't happy about it. And then, in addition to that, he did like a forward lip purse, which just kind of complements the tongue thrust, tells you he's really not happy about
This is very
something.
subtle because the tongue seems to be in his mouth for the most part.
See, when we watch these things, you really, of course, with what I do, I'm watching it and I see it. If we slow it down, you see it a little bit easier. But if you watch at the end of a statement, tongue comes out and his lip comes forward. And that kind of lip jut, so to speak,
what does it mean?
It just seconds the tongue thrust, which is that of not only disgust, but disagreement.
Okay, what about Marco Rubio? How did he fare?
You know, I was very disappointed with him last night. I think the absence of Trump made certain people shine, and then certain people, it put more of the light on, and they got nervous. So when I looked at Rubio, I saw he was sweating. He was speaking like all over the place. He wasn't his calm, usual self, much faster conversation.
Let's put it up. Let's put the volume up on him a little bit. I always notice his giant ears.
Yeah,
Am I the only one?
No. I mean...
Rubio has very big ears. They're bigger than normal. I mean, I'm not voting on that basis.
But now look at his eyebrow also. See that high on the left side, his left eye? That's typically a skeptical brow. Now, he does this quite often, so you can't use it as his, you know, that he's being skeptical
now
all the time.
All I can look at are his ears.
And look how big they are.
I know. Why would you say that to me? I can't stop looking.
But now, are they, just acknowledge, are they bigger?
They seem big.
Yes.
What does it mean if a man has big ears?
Now we're getting into a whole new field of interest.
Okay, listen, seriously, that's just an observation. There are more important things, obviously, to focus on.
Right, exactly.
Chris Christie.
Chris Christie, he did his usual thing. He was very good. What does he do? He looks directly at that camera, speaks directly to the audience. And when he does that, he engages. So we feel so much more attached to him, and we feel like he feels our pain. As a matter of fact, at one point, he looked right at the camera, and he's like, that 45-year-old truck driver. And that 45-year-old truck driver at home went, he feels me. He knows me.
You know, it seems a little phony, and it seems like it's been done a million times. I noticed Donald Trump, he's looking all over the place. He's looking at the audience.
But there's a reason for that. There's a difference in the way you're trying to approach. Even though these two are both called, like, you know, the bully kind of guys, the ones who roar out there, they're very different in the way they interact with the crowd.
And speaking of, you know, the opposite, Ben Carson.
That he is the complete opposite. And he was doing really well last night if you watched him initially. But what happens is after an hour and a half, you fall back into your normal autopilot self. And if you watch, here he is again. The hands are ringing. The eyes are closed for those extended periods of time. And I know you say, well, he's a surgeon, he's got to concentrate. The problem is...
No, I want my surgeon with his eyes open.
That's what I say. I say
I'm sorry,
he's
you better be looking.
I hope he's watching what he's doing. But in addition to that, what it does is the opposite of Chris Christie. It breaks the connection. So he closes his eyes and you feel like you lost that connection.
Governor Kasich, who I thought was basically finished, is showing signs of hope in New Hampshire.
Yes, but watch his shoulders. Right there, see that?
Yeah,
see how his shoulders come up like that? When you do that, what you're saying is, I don't even know if I believe my own statement. This is a sign, it's like a turtle duck, right? You just kind of put your head down like this, and that shows that you want to get smaller. You want to get smaller because you don't feel confident, and that's what he did. He made a statement, and then he lifted up his shoulders, which kind of diffuses the statement. Like, oh, I really like you guys. Really? Then why did you just do this? This insecurity thing versus, you know?
Wow, you see some pretty interesting stuff.
I know. Rand Paul, what about Rand Paul? Now, Rand Paul, his reputation is he likes to filibuster everybody. He talks until everybody goes to to sleep, right? Hasn't he pulled those long things in Congress where
Yeah.
he's like talked overnight to like?
No, that's Ted Cruz did that.
Ted Cruz did that. And
But so
actually
did Rand Paul, I thought.
Did he
Rand
really?
Paul has done that as
Yeah.
well.
Well,
And-
filibustering is a technique. Anyway, so what about him last night?
You know, once again, we've seen an evolution. The first couple of debates that he was on the first tier, nasty, sarcastic, smirking all the time. And then he got better. I mean, he has his own cheerleading squad. If you actually listen to the applause rate after he finishes a sentence, it's unbelievable. But last night he made, what is the lip? What's going on with the lip?
No, I'm
we
thinking about
gotta-
Donald Trump.
Chomping at the
Remember,
bit,
Donald
chomping.
Trump went out of his way to say, "Excuse me, you're a funny-looking guy. I could make fun of you if I wanted to, but I won't.
Yeah.
But I could. Remember that?
I really love the way you do the impression of him. It's spot on.
It's not that bad, right?
It's really
now,
good.
meanwhile, while this was happening, I was having my own spectacular event for the veterans just down the block.
Watch him stroking the mic, too.
So
what
what
did-
do you think about Donald Trump's?
I didn't get to watch that much. Obviously, I only saw the news clips. But, you know, he is the opposite when we talk about, you know, he's not speaking to the red dot. He wants to engage the entire audience that's right in front of him because he's such a people person. And what he's learned is he doesn't need that because so many people, no matter what he does, they love him and think that he's like the trendsetter. He could do no wrong. He is the golden child.
Wow. You probably wouldn't have thought you'd say that a year ago,
I
right?
don't agree with it.
You don't?
But I have to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, I'm sure you have something to say about our body language, but we'll save
I
that
have
for
something
another
to say
show.
about your hair. I love your hair. Vivacious, alive, beautiful, sexy.
Excellent.
Sorry.
Tonya, what? You want to pick a fight with me?
Listen,
I will start a
let's
Twitter
put
war
her
with
down
you.
right now
A
because
Twitter-
I'm going with her.
You know, excuse me, you're such a lightweight. I mean, I can't even believe you're on television.
right
I'm
in
only
there.
kidding, Tanya. You're amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Always love
you.
having your perspective here. All right, Audrey, take it away.
Audrey Puente.
Good morning. Good morning to both of you.